a legend. A pair of world champions are crowned, and pros offer advice to aspiring players. All that and much more on this episode of Billiards Digest Live, coming at you right here, right now.
Welcome to another episode of Billiards Digest Live. I'm Mike Pinozzo. This is Jason Bowman. We've missed you, but while you've been enjoying the end of the summer, we've been hot on the tournament trail following all the action, and there's been plenty of it. And we'll catch you up on all that right away. But first, we start off the show today with the sad news that 2025 has taken yet another billiard legend from us. This one far too young. Billiard Congress of America Hall of Famer Mika the Iceman Immonen passed away this past Sunday evening in New York after a 20-month battle with cancer. He was just 52. Born in London and raised in Finland, Immonen's career took off in the early 2000s after he relocated to New York City, which he called home for 25 years. At 28, Immonen broke through in a big way, winning the World 9-Ball Championship, then reaching the final of the US Open 9-Ball Championship later that same year. He continued to win sporadically throughout the decade until 2008, when he went on a historic tear, winning back-to-back US Open titles, including a 13-match streak to the 2009 title, along with the Qatar Open and his second world title, the World 10-Ball Championship. Immonen, who played for Team Europe 13 times in the Mosconi Cup, was the MVP in 2008 and was inducted into the BCA Hall of Fame in 2014. Just sad news.
Yeah, tough loss. I woke up a few days ago to the news. Mika had kind of a global presence, so people, all around the clock basically had processed some of the news and put that information out. It's not a guy that I knew personally real well. Had interacted with him a few times over the years. I think I actually met him for the first time at the BCA trade show in Kansas City in 2000, which would have corresponded about the time that he came to the States. And but I didn't have a lot of direct interaction with him, but a lot of friends in common. And so, happened to see a lot of tributes to him. People telling their Mika stories of their interactions, or sometimes competition against him and what that was like, and just a sad situation. I mean, it was diagnosed, I think you said 20 months, sometime in 2023.
December of 23, right?
Was still competing, and which was good, but obviously at such a young age, 52, and up until these last couple of years, you would have never thought Mika was quite that old. I really admired how much attention he put into his physical fitness. Yeah. He was a tennis player.
Yeah,
he did a lot of fitness things.
He was very strong in mind and very strong in body. He was very philosophical. He took care of himself, physically. Ran New York City Marathon, sub 4 hours, which to me is real running. He was a terrific competitor, and on social media you did see how wide a net he cast, because from all over the world, it was one person after the next with, selfies, photos with Mika, and not just standing by the table taking a grip and grin. These were, out on the town, or adventuring, or swimming, or running, or hiking. Or Mika was always out there, always ready for adventure, always ready for everything. He was a very passionate, intense guy. You saw a lot of comments from players who would always note, I didn't really like you much at the beginning, or we had a lot of tough battles, but we got over it.
Because he was a little feisty at the table.
He could be feisty. He was intense, but he was so much fun to watch. People really enjoyed watching him compete because he he was so intense and he was aggressive. He was not a big safety player. If he saw a shot, he was going for it, and he went down swinging if he went down. So yeah, he was a terrific player. You talk about him continuing to play. 3 weeks ago, he called Pat Fleming to book his spots in the International Open and said, Pat, I want to play in the 9-ball, and I want to play in the 1 pocket, and I want to play in the straight pool. And that's just the way Mika was, and that's the way his mindset was. He was there was no give up in him, and yeah, just a tragic loss. This is a photo that I'll cherish forever. This was from last year's Hall of Fame banquet, excuse me. And it looks like it's a photo of two recently inducted Hall of Famers. To me, what it's a photo of is of Jeanette and Mika, who are two of the most courageous, passionate, inspirational people that I've ever known. And so he will sorely be missed.
Yeah, he was a big part of that New York pool scene.
Yes, he was.
But Jeanette at one time as well, and so yeah, 52 years young, and the fourth Hall of Famer that we've lost this year.
Yeah, we lost Danny DiLiberto, Terry Bell, of course, Buddy Hall, and now Mika. And Mika is actually the youngest Hall of Famer ever to pass away, which is not a distinction you wish on anyone. And despite fighting his illness and undergoing numerous treatments, Mika did continue to play when he could, and even participated in the U.S. Open in August, one of the events that has taken place in recent months, along with a pair of world championships. And we'll start our tournament coverage with a trio of events in Vietnam, a pool-crazed country that promoters are tripping over each other to get events into. A week ago, it was Predator rolling into Ho Chi Minh City with the Men's World 10-Ball Championship, the Saigon Women's 9-Ball Championship, and the Box Billiards Mixed Doubles 10-Ball Competition, replete with a $425,000 total prize fund. The main event, of course, was the World 10-Ball Championship, which featured a 96-player field, although there were a few big names missing, and we'll talk about that in a minute. As we've talked about before, the Predator 10-ball events feature short race sets, with qualification rounds being races to 4 best-of-3 sets, and single elimination rounds extended to best-of-5 sets. If the final set is tied at 3 games apiece, the players shoot 4 rounds of spot shots. If the score is still tied after 4 rounds, sudden death rounds continue until a winner is decided. The cut to the single elimination final 32 was mostly to script, save for the shocking dismissal of Albania's Eklund Kaci, the only 2-time winner of the World 10-Ball crown. The round of 32 featured a scintillating match between German star Joshua Filler and the host country's hero Duong Quoc Hong. With thousands of screaming Vietnamese pool fans in the packed arena and another 200,000 plus watching the live stream, the usually unflappable Filler botched what would have been a match-clinching runout. The widely followed and likable Huang cleaned up to force a 5th set, which he won convincingly to the delight of the locals. Huang eventually lost to Aloysius Yap in a shootout in the round of 16, a match which saw the live stream viewing numbers top 500,000. 2 interesting storylines that played out were the paths of American star Shane Van Boening and Filipino ace Carlo Beato. Both reached the semifinals, with Van Boening trying to become the first player to win the World Pool Association World 9-Ball, World 8-Ball, and World 10-Ball titles, while reigning World 9-Ball champ Beato was looking to make it 2 world crowns in the same year. But while pool fans everywhere were pulling for a Van Boening-Beato finale, Greece's Alice Kazakis and 2019 World 10-Ball champ Ping Chung Ko had notions of their own. Kazakis, looking for his first world title, battled Van Boening to a stalemate through 5 sets, after which the pair set sail on a spot shot battle that lasted 13 rounds, with neither player missing a single shot until Van Boening rattled his 13th attempt. Ko, meanwhile, took down Beato in straight sets to set up a title bout with Kazakis. The 30-year-old Taiwanese player composed and methodical, marched through the championship match, winning the first 2 sets, and then sealing the 3-1 victory in the 4th set to become the second player to earn 2 World 10-ball titles. We were able to catch up with Little Ko, as he's known, $70,000 richer for the title, a day after his big win. Welcome to Ping Chung Ko and Ping Yi Ko, coming to us live from Vietnam.
Yeah, it's good.
Ping Chung, congratulations on the World 10-ball title. Tell me how it feels.
Thank you. And I feel very happy now.
You had some difficult matches. You had to play Carlo Beato 2 times. How did you feel like you played?
I think I played pretty well and very lucky. I didn't expect I can win. And very happy to beat Carlo Beato twice. And I lost to him many times before. And and the referee was great and give me a lot of confidence.
So this is your second World 10-ball title. Which one was better?
I think this time I play better, but first time I'm more happy.
I'm sure you were especially happy because this happened on your 30th birthday. It was a pretty good birthday present.
Yeah, I think this is best birthday gift for me. And I think I'm not too old because now I'm 30, but still I can champion. So I hope I can keep this from win more.
So after winning this World 10-ball championship, what's the next big title you want to win?
I hope I can win the World Nine Ball Champion because I'm now already 2-time 10-ball champion. So I hope 9-ball champion I can.
Then you'll be a World 9-ball champion, just like Ping Yi Ko.
Yeah, yes. Next year.
Okay. So 2 world championships for you, 2 world championships for Ping Yi Ko. Who's the better player?
Of course, me. Me.
There you see Ping Chung Ko as the champion, World 10-ball champion, with Kazaka's second, Shane Van Boning and Carlo Beato tied for third. The pool festivities in Ho Chi Minh City continued with the 64-player Saigon Women's 9-ball Open, which was dominated by Asian players. Just 3 non-Asian players reached the final 16, among them American teen Savannah Easton. Austria's Yasmin Aushin was the only non-Asian player to advance to the final 8. The title match pitted 4-time world champion Rubilin Amit of the Philippines against 2025 WPBA Masters champion Zhu Xianwei of Chinese Taipei. After splitting the first 2 sets, Amit gifted several games to Wei in the final set, which opened the door for the Taiwanese star to secure the set 4-2 and celebrate with a little shimmy. Finally, a 32-team mixed doubles event paired top men and women stars, but none could keep up with the killer fillers. The husband and wife duo of Josh and Pia Filler coasted to the title, topping the Chinese duo of Shea Yu Chao and Ping Chung Ko in the title match. There you see the final standings for both the mixed doubles and World 9-ball women's 9-ball results. So, Jason, what did you think of those events? I mean, you know, the Predator events, particularly the World 10-ball, the format's quite a bit different. Do you like it?
The shootout format?
The short sets.
I like it when my guy wins. I hate it when he loses. SVB couldn't get it done. That was a little disappointing.
It made 12 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unforgiving format, I guess, there towards the end. You know, you miss 1 out of 13 and you're going home. You're not going to the championship. So and there were some familiar names absent, right? You mentioned
there were some players missing, and this being a WPA World Championship, the requirements were for World Pool Association top, 32 players to get in,
right,
or top 16, and a lot of the players who played in the WNT last year who were banned from the WPA lost their WPA points, so they didn't have any standing. And so there were some invitational spots wildcard spots available for the World 10 Ball, but not enough to take into account all the great players who had lost all their WPA points, right? So players like Jason Shaw, Francisco Sanchez-Ruiz, David Alcade, players like that were not, able to get into the main field for the World 10 Ball. Now they had an option of entering a qualification tournament ahead of time, which was going to have 96 players for 16 spots into that final field, but most of them chose to not.
It's a long way to go for a qualifier.
It is a long way to go for for a qualifier.
And let me ask you this, Vietnam. When did Vietnam become the hub of the professional pool world? It seems like just a couple years ago, Matchroom goes in and does the Hanoi Open, and ever since, that's like the hub of the professional pool world. Everybody's trying to get into Vietnam. What's driving that?
Well, you talk to people even in the industry, cue makers and table makers. The emerging markets are Vietnam and Indonesia. They're huge, and I don't think anybody saw the amount of fervor and excitement for the game there from the crowds.
The crowds that are turning out.
The crowd there
events.
was fantastic in Ho Chi Minh City, and like I said, Huang's matches, the Vietnamese hero, his matches were drawing 200 to 500,000 viewers live to watch his match.
Yeah.
So as a promoter, you want to see him in every match you can. So he was quite a draw. But even the players who non-Vietnamese players who go over there talk about how engaged those fans are and how much they treat them like heroes and how exciting it is to be there.
Yeah, it's really emerged as quite the destination now.
Yeah, it has.
For the pool community.
The World 10 Ball Championship wasn't the only world title awarded this summer. The $1 million World Pool Championship, with its $250,000 top prize, was once again up for grabs in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, with 128 players from around the globe. The question on everyone's mind heading into Jeddah, of course, was whether or not top-ranked Fedor Gorst could successfully defend his title. And for most of the week-long event, the answer appeared to be yes. Unlike 2024, when Gorst had to rebound from losing his first match, the 25-year-old was unbeatable in Jeddah, rolling through the qualification rounds and into the single elimination final 64, where he then topped Spain's young Jonas Soto Camino, Austrians Max Lechner and Mario He, and Jeffrey Roda of the Philippines to storm into the Final Four. Awaiting him there was 19-year-old Cledio Caci, the younger brother of two-time World 10 Ball champion Eklet Caci, who Gorst beat in the thrilling 24 World Pool Championship title match 15-14. Gorst was too much for the young star, winning 11-7 to advance once again to the title match. Across the table from Gorst in the finale was former world champion Carlo Beato of the Philippines. Like Gorst, Beato rolled through the qualification rounds and escaped 4 close calls against Chris Melling, Victor Zielinski, Jeffrey Ignacio, and Ping Chung Ko to reach the semis. There he beat promising young countryman Bernie Regulario 11-3. The title match started out as a one-sided affair, with Beato breaking out to a mind-boggling 9-2 lead. Even more astonishing, though, was Gorst's 7-rack response to tie the match 9-9. And after Beato again bolted to a 4-rack lead, Gorst managed to tie the match 13-13, making it a race to 2 for $250,000. But that's where Gorst's good fortune left him, as a dry break handed the table to Beato, who ran that rack to reach the hill, then carefully worked his way through the next rack, showing deft touch and playing a 3-4 combination, followed by a powerful stroke going 4 rails around the table from the 3 to the 5. From there, Beato cleaned up the remainder of the rack to secure the match 15-13 and his second World 9-Ball crown. We caught up with Beato recently to talk about his monumental win.
But World Championship is important for me, and also I'm so happy that I won in the World Championship. Even I have a lot of Like
You feel really not good.
really, I feel really not good, you know. But I still did my best. Before the final starts against Fedor Gors, you know, I'm comfortable on that final. I don't feel nervous, you know. Since the final starts until in the beginning until the 13 all, I don't feel pressure. But when I play in the last ball, the 9 ball, the pressure is
Sinking already.
sinking already.
Was
Yeah.
it because knew you were going to win, or did you?
Yeah, I think yeah, because I'm this is it. I'm gonna win again. Yeah, that's why. But honestly, in the beginning, on the final until the 13 all, I don't feel pressure. I'm comfortable.
Now, this is your second World Nine Ball. How is it different?
For me, the difference is the crowd and also the prize money. Yes, I think that's the difference for me because the first time I won in the World Championship in Qatar, it's the prize money is 40,000 USD, and also the crowd. It's not like in Jeddah, a lot of Filipinos watching me in the final. So if you see the finals in the television in the YouTube, you see a lot of Filipinos watching me, cheering for me, and they're dancing also. You know.
Did that help
Yeah.
you? Did that help you? Or
Yeah,
did that make more
yeah,
pressure?
they helped me to
More
what do you call it?
relaxed.
Yeah, to more relax and give me strength like that. So I'm happy that a lot of Filipinos watching us, watching me playing in the finals.
There you see the final standings from Jeddah, with Carlo Beato taking the title, followed by Fedor Gorst, Bernie Regolario, and Claudio Cacci, two youngsters tied for third. In addition to his world title, Beato also spoke about his recently announced election into the Billiard Congress of America Hall of Fame.
Become a Hall of Fame, it's like you won multiple times championship or more than that. It's for me, it's big blessings. Yeah, but you know, until now, I can't believe that I'm become like this because my dream is just to become a world champion, but become a Hall of Famer. It's
At first, before you announce it, I was teasing him that night. Like, oh, I think you're gonna be a Hall of Famer. He said, not really. I'm not ready yet," because he thinks that he is too old for that. But you already won a lot of tournaments, so I keep insisting that you should be proud of yourself because that's the fruit of your hard work. You know, maybe he thinks it's only just an award, but it's different. It's just all of the decades of working really pays off, and it's for you, not for me. It's you. I'm so proud.
Just a great world champion and a great Hall of Famer. I mean, you know, there's nothing not to like about Carlo Beato. He is a solid player, a solid person. His wife Nix, you know, is with him everywhere they go. He's a really terrific champion.
He's having a heck of a second half of 25 between the $250,000 payday and the Hall of Fame announcement. That's huge.
Yeah.
And what did you say? He's the sixth Filipino
He'll
inducted
be
now?
he'll be the sixth Filipino inducted into the Hall of Fame.
And I do kind of wonder, you know, if we're going to see more of that direction. You know, I mean, if you go back traditionally, it's been mostly Americans in the BCA Hall of Fame, but over the last several years, you're seeing that become more international. And I would only expect that would continue as the game of pool has become far more global, and we're introduced to these players on other sides of the globe, and it's just a lot different now.
Yeah, it's very different. You know, it's when the Hall of Fame started. Obviously, it was an American-dominated game, and so all the Hall of Famers were all the Americans that have gone through the years, through the decades, and then you started to see some of as the European players became more prevalent, playing in the U.S. a lot, moving to the U.S. A lot of the tournaments in Europe matchroom events, things like you started to see a lot of the European players, and they started coming into Ralph Souquets, the Torsten Holmans, the Oliver Ortmans, Mika Immonens, people like that. And the Asian players have always been among the strongest in the world.
Sure.
They just didn't get around the world as much for many years.
Yeah.
But as the world's gotten smaller and the promoters like Matchroom and Predator have expanded the footprint of big international tournaments, the Asian players are much more involved in these events. And you're seeing what everyone knew all along was that these guys are monsters. And so as you look into the years coming ahead, the Filipinos were kind of in the U.S. same time the Europeans were. Now you're seeing the Taiwanese players and the Chinese players and players from other Asian countries starting to become more prevalent. Aloysius Yep this year alone is almost booked his Hall of Fame ticket, right? So you'll see more of that coming up, and also it's impacted by the dearth of high quality champion from the U.S.
Yeah.
So yeah, as someone who's on the Hall of Fame committee and helps run the banquet, we're going to have to raise a lot more money to start flying all these players in from around the world to go to the Hall of Fame banquet, right?
Well, Carlos got $250,000. He could probably book his own flight.
He can bring his wife to that.
Another great world championship. Good to see Fedor Gorst with a strong showing there.
Yeah, how amazing is that?
To see.
How amazing is that to make the final of that event 2 years in a row? That's astonishing.
Unbelievable, and I cannot imagine the pressure of a race to 2 for $250,000.
Yeah.
And who taxes that? Who's taxing that $250,000? Is that a Saudi tax? Is that a British
well,
tax?
If I can introduce a Billiard Digest tax, I'm happy to do that. We can get a little,
$250,000.
A little jelly for the magazine would be nice.
So our last episode, I think we were previewing the World Championship, and you brought on from
Molina
Windows
Mike.
Open, Molina Mike. Got to give credit where credit is due. I believe his pick was Cledio Cacci, which would have been a huge upset. Didn't win it, but he made it to the Final Four. That's a pretty solid pick.
He did. That was a bold pick.
Shout out to him.
Probably the first time he's ever come that close. but no, that's why he's called Molina Mike. I mean, he's got his finger on the pulse of it, and he loves handicapping these, and he loves finding those dark horses and saying, okay, anybody can pick a dark horse, but you got to be able to pick the right one. And he was pretty darn close in that one.
Well, I'll be interested in seeing where the future takes the young Cacci and.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah,
I mean, he comes from a snooker background. His technique is flawless. He's obviously showed unbelievable nerves for a 19-year-old.
I'm sure he's been hardened by playing his older brother for years.
Yeah, and his older brother is, pretty unflappable as well. So you know that he's got that gene as well. So yeah, a lot of high expectations for him.
Europe still lining up the talent.
They are. Next up was the Pro Tour's longest-running major 9-ball event, the 48th running of the U.S. Open Pool Championship in Atlantic City, with a $500,000 prize fund and a $100,000 top prize. Once again, the defending champion was Fedor Gorst, and once again, the Russian transplant went unbeaten to the title match, although this time it required several come-from-behind wins at the wire, notably 10-9 wins against Poland's Viktor Zielinski and Michael Boanen of the Philippines. In the semifinals, Gorst bested another Filipino, Johan Chua, 11-7. Matching Gorst step for step was the red-hot Aloysius Yep of Singapore. Already the winner of the World 9-Ball Tour UK Open and Florida Open, Yep was gunning for his third major win of 2025. Unlike Gorst, Yep cruised mostly untested to the title match, save for a 10-8 win over Josh Filler in the quarterfinal. As was the case in Saudi Arabia, Gorst dug himself a deep hole in the title match, playing erratically while falling behind 8-3 and 10-5 in the race to 13 match. But as he did in Jeddah, Gorst fought back to tie the match at 10-10 and 11-11. With nerves getting the better of both players, Yep edged ahead 12-11, but then badly missed his opening shot in the next rack, giving Gorst another opportunity. Almost immediately, Gorst returned the favor by missing a 3-ball. This time, Yep made no mistakes, running the remainder of the rack, to secure his biggest title and his third major of the year. After the match, the exhausted and relieved Yap talked about that title. 3 major, you said your goal this year was to win a Matchroom major. Now you've won 3 in the same year. Did you even imagine that would be possible?
Definitely not. I was just hoping to do my best in one at least. To win 3, like I said before, it just feels like a dream. You know, I still feel like I'm dreaming also. So, yeah, I don't want to wake up either.
Well, you can keep sleeping for the next couple months, because there's 2 or 3 more events you can play in. So if you keep dreaming, maybe you'll have 4.
Yeah, hopefully, I'm not gonna think much. It's gonna be a new event again next time. So I just gotta do my best, stay in it, work hard, and really just pray to God for more luck again.
Thanks very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And there's your Final 4 for the U.S. Open Championship, with Aloysius Yap on top, Federgorst second for the second big tournament in a row, followed by Pin Yi Ko and Johan Chua. Great event as always. The U.S. Open has always been my favorite pro event. It's got the history, the players. You heard Yap talk about it. The U.S. Open is the title. I mean, World Championships is a great title, but the tournament they all want to win is the U.S. Open, because when you look at the history of champions of the U.S. Open, it's the history of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And so, and Yap, it's great to see him having the year he's had. He was a world junior champion and was, the guy predicted to do this some years ago. He's still very young.
Under 25 years old, right?
Yes, and he's had some confidence issues in recent years, and he talks about it very openly. But I think 3 major Open Championships in a year should get your confidence kind of squared away, right?
I got to think he's probably the odds-on favorite to win Player of the Year, and he might have just booked his Hall of Fame status with the U.S. Open win and 2 other majors. It's crazy.
He's as nice and humble a guy as there is. So, and again, these champions that you can absolutely root for.
Yeah, and we had a team out at our World Championships, the APA World Championships in August in Vegas. We had players from Singapore. We have leagues in Singapore now, and they were out there and talking to some of them and their league operator. They couldn't be more excited to have Aloysius Yap representing Singapore, because it's generating a lot of interest in the game in general in his home country, and so they were really excited about the success he's had, for sure.
I'm sure, and that's that is the way that the game grows, right? You find these markets and these different places around the world, and if we can create heroes around those areas, then everybody, it's just, the game becomes aspirational, and people just, have their heroes, and they love to watch the sport, and it's great to see. Yeah. U.S. Open, also, an event that I do love, but it's on the move.
It's on the move. We don't know where it's moving, but we know it won't be back in Atlantic City.
We know it will not be back. Matchroom announced that it would not return to Atlantic City after 5 years, which is a little bit of a shame, because it took them a couple years to really develop a following there. But this year, the crowds were really big, really boisterous. East Coast has always been a good area for pool. So, but, the numbers have to work, that as well as anyone, to be able to keep an event someplace. So it's on the move. They had hinted that ideally they would love to find a spot in Texas, because Texas is also a huge market in the U.S. They're already in Florida with the Mosconi Cup and with the Florida Open. So going, west of Mississippi and Texas is a great location. Whether they can find a site there or not, that's the $1 million question. But it will not be in Atlantic City.
Yeah, it won't be in Atlantic City. I'm curious too to Texas, because I don't believe Texas has casinos. I mean, typically casinos work for pool tournaments because there is some trade-off if you're bringing in a big group of people. It's not free.
That's the way you market.
People think those are free. But if at least if they're gambling, you maybe get some discounts on some of the AV or some of the convention space, and
it's good advertising for them with the visibility that those events get through a match or whatever. Whereas you just get a standard, big hotel convention center in a city like Dallas. Is this the way that they're trying to market around the world? And so you wonder. I hope they find a nice spot. I'd love to see them land in Texas, because I think that's really fertile ground for growing an event as important as the U.S. Open. It would be great to see that happen.
Yeah, and I'm a little surprised they're not looking at least at Vegas again. I mean, they've kind of pulled out completely. Mosconi Cup was obviously there for years. They did just announce that the Mosconi Cup would be going to Orlando
Again,
next year to
right.
the Royal Caribbean, which is where they did the Florida Open
Right.
and the last Mosconi Cup, so it'll return there. But if not Texas, if not Vegas, what about the potential of going back to Virginia, where the U.S. Open kind of grew up? Would that be a possible location?
I think that runs into the same issue that you run into with someplace like Texas is what does, I mean, the price tag for holding the event is a lot higher with Matchroom than it was,
Sure.
for the host than it was for Barry Berman and Pat Fleming running the U.S. Open there. So, again, you get into what's in it for a city like that.
Yeah.
Would love to see it there. But again, I would love to see something west of the Mississippi
Sure.
as well to
Yeah.
balance that Florida event.
Well, we'll see. I mean, all we can do is wait now and see, and maybe a whole new area of the country get a chance to experience the U.S. Open.
Would be great.
Yeah.
I'm sure all that elite level pool over such a short period of time got plenty of league players geeked for the fall season. And to help you all out, we asked some of the game's top players, young and old, for advice they might offer aspiring players, and here's what they had to say.
For me, the most important always is trying to enjoy every single moment. That's the matter if you win, if you lose. When you back home, you feel you give you 100%, you feel okay. That's the matter. It's part of the game. Trying to enjoy. Of course, you need to work so hard. I don't know how many years, but a lot for sure. But the most important is you feel all right when you finish the tournament and enjoy.
Well, my biggest good answer will be time. Do not ask too many questions about how to improve your game. Just take your time, be a good player. Remember, everything is possible when you will try. You can find like a good session, practice, good people who can help control your pressure, but in the end, you are the only person who can be the best player, and you are the only person who can help yourself to be a good player.
Well, they have to believe in themselves, and every time they have to dream, because it's free, and every dream can come true if you believe in yourself. I always watch all the best players in the world, especially my favorite player, SBB, and every time I try to find the way they play, the way they practice, because back in the days we don't have too much internet, so for us was really tough to watch some videos. But now it's different, so they can go to YouTube, they can watch all the best players in the world, and also a lot of players have YouTube channels, so they have some drills that they can practice. So that's good for the kids, for the future.
Yeah.
Well, of course, first thing, you need to be very clear with your dream. If you want to be a champion one day, you really need to focus on that and play more events, a lot of tournaments, and training, of course, and try to avoid money matches or money games. I don't recommend it. It's better to just focus on tournaments and improvements like the trainings, and that's basically especially us in our country. Like, we have a lot of good players, but we are really all of the Filipino players are playing money games. That's why we don't create a lot of young ones to be in the big stage. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do is I stopped playing money games, so I don't recommend it at all. It won't help you, because it's a different game, it's a different pressure, it's a different mindset. So if you really want to be a champion, you really want to be like your idols, you really need to focus on playing tournaments and improvements.
I think for a young and upcoming player, I think it's really important to put a lot of time in to build your skills. But then it's also very important nowadays in our modern time with the social media. It's very important to also recover. When I was a youngster, there was no smartphones that were in your pocket, constantly distracting you, and your brain could actually recover after a good workout instead of staying active the whole time, which can create a lot of overload, a lot of anxiety, a lot of online comparison, which you really got to stay away from, in my opinion. Focus on yourself, not on somebody else, what they're doing. Try to be the best version of yourself. And that way you're always going to win. If you compare yourself to others, you're always going to lose, because there's always somebody that's better, fitter, better looking, different cue, blah, blah, blah. Focus on you. So put in a lot of work, active resting, so recovery work, limited screen time, work out, take care of your body, take care of your nutrition, take care of your sleep. Again, that's related to the screens, right? It's very important to get the recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That was a lot easier in my time, but now when kids are laying in bed till 1, 2 in the morning because the parents don't take the phones away from the bedrooms, that's going to be a problem. If you're sleeping 4 or 5 hours, you got zero energy to practice. So then you skip practice, now you're getting into a slump, or if you practice, you're missing balls. So it's like a downward spiral. So to keep the spiral up, you got to take care of your fundamentals. And if you want to learn more, check out my courses on the Terminator College.
But I would say, like, you know, when I was younger, I did a lot of drills, and, you know, I was always hungry to get better. I mean, I'm still hungry to get better. It's just, you know, at one point, you know, you kind of get lazy, but I'm getting back on track with that. So I practice about 6 to 8 hours a day.
I mean, the most important, I think that's the hard work, you know, because I see so many young guys getting frustrated when they're like 20 years old and don't have any success. For example, I win my first major with 30 years old, so I spent my whole life playing pool. So I think hard work, motivation, that's the key.
I would say practice your safety and kicking game a lot, because it takes a lot of pressure off of your offensive game. So if you're not playing your A game offensively, you have something to fall back on. If your safety game isn't very good, then it puts a lot of heat on you to run out when, you know, you may not feel like you have your best. So that's the best advice I can give them.
Yeah, the most important thing is practice. Practice, drills, playing with better players in training, play the right tournaments when the tournaments maybe not the biggest tournaments, not the smallest, but the tournaments which are good for you. You learn from the best and learn from the tournaments, learn from the mistakes, and yeah, that's what makes a good player.
Yeah, for sure, you have to work hard. You gotta take the right approach, but knowing what's the right approach is different for many players. So first, I guess you have to really understand yourself, and the other thing would be to find like a good mentor. And yeah, you have to. Yeah, there's so many things to learn in this game. So you always have to have like an inquisitive mind, and yeah, just keep working hard and also focus and do your best.
Well, these are guys they've all been through it. They've all, you know, taken all those steps it takes to become a good player. Yeah. And it just, you know, you take out of it what you want to get to, whatever level you want to get to. Some players, you know, Neil's, the way he talks, you know, it's talking to people who want to aspire to be Neil's fan, yeah. Right? But you find a level that works for you. I don't know what level you're at, but what was the best piece of advice you heard in there?
I loved Neil's. I mean, I might have to fly Neil's in just to talk to my kids. I kind of liked his holistic, kind of all-around approach. Yeah. It's not just, you know, how you're practicing and preparing for a match. It's resting. It's allowing your brain to decompress. It's trying to stay. I really liked what he said about not comparing yourself to what others are doing.
Right.
You know, and really focusing on developing yourself.
Right.
And
develop your own routine, develop your own, you know, identity.
Yeah,
all that.
And I love that. I loved everything he had to say, and of course he's got a stellar career to back it up. So it's hard not to like what Neil said there for me.
Yeah. No, they're all interesting guys.
Yeah.
And I'm sure while that got league players excited, for play, I'm sure all this talk with all these pros and seeing all these tournaments also gets them excited for the upcoming Reyes Cup and Mosconi Cup, right?
Getting me excited.
Well, with Reyes Cup announcing a new format pitting Team Asia against a combined team of top American and European players, Matchroom recently unveiled its qualification system for the teams, with only 2 spots on each team merit-based, with the promoter getting to choose one of the wild cards. Interesting way of handling it, right?
Well, I think the last time we did a show, they had yet to announce the format.
Right.
We kind
well,
of
no, when they
expected-
originally announced it, they did announce that it was going to be the top 3 ranked players for Asia and for the rest
Their
of the world.
opponent. Well, I
and
guess
then
my
they
point is-
changed it up to only 2 players, and then they get the picks basically for the other 3.
Yeah, but I think the last time we did a show, we didn't know it would be Team Rest of the World.
That's true, too.
Our assumption was, and I know you felt strongly that it would be Team USA. So I think it's a great format. I think it's the right move by them. Disappointed, obviously, that Team USA won't be represented, but I think it speaks volumes to what Matchroom probably predicts would happen, which would be a blowout by Team
bloodbath.
Asia. And so that part of my heart hurts a little bit, but I am excited for this format. I don't love the name Team Rest of the World. It's like, hey, Team everybody else. Maybe East-West.
East-West would
see,
be
maybe they'll modify that in the years to come. But format-wise, I think it's genius. The idea of seeing some of Team Europe's players mixed with potentially some of Team USA's players, and how can they gel against obviously the team that is dominating the rest of the world in Team Asia. So it's going to be really exciting.
What will they glean from their European teammates that they can pull into the Mosconi Cup in terms of how to handle the matches?
Yeah.
We did take a look at the rankings. We'll take a look at those again. The current rankings show that Aloysius Yap and Carlo Beato are 1 and 2 in Team Asia, and they've locked up those 2 spots. They've already been announced, as well as Feder Gorst and Francisco Sanchez Ruiz for Team Rest of the World, your favorite title. Currently, the next 3 players in line are Chua, Piñico, and Jeffrey Roda from the Philippines. Josh Filler, Claudio Cacci, Jonas Soto from Spain, filling out Rest of the World as we look at it today. I don't expect those players to be there.
No, and we did just learn today the captains for these teams, and they'll be a significant deciding factor in what those rosters look like, right?
Yeah, well, the captains have been named. Jeremy Jones for Team Rest of the World, Francisco Bustamante for Team Asia. Kind of thought that's what direction they might go. But, in looking at players who weren't on those lists that we may well see in the Reyes Cup, I think we both fully expect to see Jason Shaw on Team Rest of the World.
I'd be shocked if not.
And I think that we will see a second American on Team Rest of the World, since it was theoretically going to be America's turn, and Feder Gorst is only theoretically American. I think that, but who's it going to be?
Well, there's one of 2, I'm sure. It's either going to be SVB or Sky Woodward, right?
Well, that would be, you would assume SVB, but, Matchroom has this policy of, you don't play and you pick other events over ours, and you lose some of that leverage. And so Shane is not scheduled to play in the Hanoi Open this week in Hanoi, Vietnam, a WNT event. He is instead playing in the World 8-Ball Championship in Indonesia. So, will he lose his spot to be on Team USA because of that? I think he will.
Sky
and in
Woodward
that case,
is in Vietnam.
Sky Woodward is in Hanoi. Make of that what you will. So I expect for certain, in my book, Sky and Jason Shaw will be the next 2 players for Team Rest of the World. That 5th player, if I was a gambling man, I would say it was going to be Duong Quoc Quang from Vietnam, because he's such a draw in Asia. His numbers of followers in Vietnam are enormous. He's playing in Hanoi this week. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Matchroom doesn't announce him as a Rest of the World player for the Reyes Cup during the Hanoi Open, because they would really leverage the audience that's sitting right at their feet.
As a Team Asia player.
Correct.
Asia, not a Team
I'm
Asia
sorry,
player.
the team, yeah.
But I am curious, you've already said Gorst is in, FSR is in.
Shane,
You expect
Sky
Shaw,
is in, Shaw is
and
in.
You expect
Who's
Sky.
number 5?
Who would be 5 on Team Row, rest of the world?
Well, I would say Josh Filler, who is also in Indonesia playing in the World 8 Ball instead of in Hanoi. So, this is the drama that comes with these competing events, and we saw this early on in the year. We saw this coming up. We saw this head-to-head clashes with these big events in Asia at the same time, and someone was going to take some beatings, and each promoters are taking a little bit of a beating. Some of the players are going to take a little bit of a beating, and so again, as we've said a million times too, we hope it all gets sorted out for next year, and you have a run of events one after the next instead of on top of each other.
And our good buddy Jeremy Jones with another tough assignment. He's got to go. He's got to find a way to rally the rest of the world to take down the most dominant in Team Asia. So it's a big challenge for Jeremy, but excited to see that they're putting their faith back in him, and maybe he can pull off the miracle there.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Mosconi Cup will follow last year's format with a playing captain for each team and the top 3 players in rankings earning automatic bids. Again, here's the rankings currently for those 2 teams. Again, we see Shane Van Boening high on the Team USA list. He is not going to play in the Philippines Open following the Reyes Cup. He's going to play in Qatar instead. So again, I think he'll be pulled out of this as an option.
Out of Mosconi Cup?
That if Matchroom's going to stick to its guns on what it's asking players to do, they can't really change for one person, can they? Without losing everyone else. That's my personal thought on it. And again, you see, Josh Filler on Team Europe. I don't expect that to happen either.
I would be shocked if SVB is not on. I mean, I understand what you're saying about not playing in the Matchroom events, but the reality is they weren't overly competitive with him in the lineup. You take him out of the lineup, holy cow, you're really...
Well, how many people have we seen in the last couple of years say Team USA would be better without
there.
Shane anyways?
Well,
he doesn't help them, and he drags the team down when he's losing, and we've heard all those arguments. No one will pick him or not pick him based on that. As a player and as a quality player.
Who do you replace him with? I mean, Oscar Dominguez or Billy Thorpe.
Well, Billy Thorpe is in Hanoi with Sky Woodward right now, so draw your conclusions from that.
I like Billy, but I'll take a Shane in yet another Mosconi.
If you're going to start a whole new group of Americans, if this is kind of the tail end of Shane's, long-standing Mosconi run, do you pick a Lucas Fracasso Werner, who's on that list, who we saw speak a little bit earlier as well? Do you say, okay, let's get him rolling, let's throw him into that bloodbath in Ali Pali and see if he can swim into deep water. So that's also an option, but there's never a dull moment in the pro tournament scene these days.
I'm a little surprised we don't know more about the Mosconi Cup. I mean, the last several years, they've identified the captains, whether they were playing captains or not, much earlier. I just feel like it's kind of been quiet on the Mosconi front, and a big part of me wonders if that's because a lot of Matchroom's attention and resources are being put towards the Reyes Cup, which I don't think the Mosconi Cup's going anywhere, right? I don't think it's ever going to go away or anytime soon. But it does make me wonder if in 5 or 10 years, if the Reyes Cup kind of replaces it at the top of the pedestal there. If the money doesn't get to be the top money at the Reyes Cup, if that's not what players are truly chasing, if that's not where Matchroom is pushing their resources, because frankly, it's more competitive. Now, I know the Europeans love to beat up on Team USA, so I don't expect that it's going to go anywhere. But again, if you start to see the outpouring of people in the Asian markets and everything that's happening there, so I'd be curious to see what happens over the next decade.
I fully expect the Reyes Cup to become a huge event, because what it does now nicely with their new format is it brings the entire world into one team event.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've got Europe and the US against Asia. And so it brings in all parts of the world as interested parties, right? So from that standpoint, I would expect this event to become the marquee event. But natural rivalry, U.S. and Europe, will always keep the Mosconi Cup afloat.
Sure.
I believe, much as it does in golf.
Yeah.
The Ryder Cup is much more, of a passion project than the other golf events that combine players from the rest of the world.
Sure.
It just doesn't resonate.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening for
Just
sure.
a little surprised we haven't heard. I mean, it's October.
It's
and
been a
we
little
just-
flat.
It's been a little quiet.
it's
and
been a little flat this year
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See how it plays out.
In the meantime, let's take a look at what else is coming up in professional pool. There's a host of WNT events, including the Hanoi Open next week in Vietnam, everybody's hotspot. Also, the World 8-Ball Championship coming up in Indonesia, and 2 Women's World Championships, the World 10-Ball Championship and the World's 9-Ball Championship on tap. Well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks very much for joining us. For Jason Bowman, I'm Mike Pinozzo. May all your shots be hangers, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time on Billiards Digest Live.